if everything is fine with the sound. Let's see if we're going live. Yes. Okay, it seems to be working. Let me see. Yeah. All right. So I think we are live. I hope we're live. Everyone who is here right now already, please tell us first if the sound is working fine for both of us. That's always the most important thing, because if the sound is messed up, then it doesn't make any sense. And also be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel first, and also on Twitter, follow me there, and also follow the Desmos team, Desmos Network, and also join their Telegram group. You guys made a lot of waves recently, also regarding the shaky airdrop. That a lot of people were really, really furious about. Even my father, even my dad, Westmoncton, was freaking out about it. So I'm really excited, and thanks for taking the time, Ricardo. How is everything going?
Oh, it's fine. It's fine. How about you?
Yeah, it's good. I mean, I just had a week with my family, and in Germany, it's been a bit rough there because they're locking everything down. Even here in Portugal now, I just got back. Things are getting a little bit stricter here in terms of COVID. But yeah, I guess that's gonna be with us for at least another year or something.
Yeah, so, I guess so.
Yeah,
I guess so.
And how's everything in Italy?
Oh, it's pretty fucked up, I would say. Like 90% of the people got vaccinated because you can't do anything without it. Right now, we're like from the beginning of this week, we have even more strict restrictions. So yeah, more people taking the shots and living their life the best they can.
Yeah. But yeah, I think, I don't know, at this point, it's also makes you really hard to travel if you're not vaccinated. So I think it's also kind of like from a bureaucratic standpoint, an incentive to get vaccinated. But anyway, we'll not talk about the vaccine and COVID today. We'll talk about Desmos. We'll talk about Cosmos. We'll talk about the airdrop, like I said. And yeah, please, everyone who is listening, also share this right now with your friends, with anybody that you think should watch this, because I know after this video, I'm going to get a lot of messages from all of you like, oh, how do I claim the DSM airdrop? Yeah. Just watch this video right now and you'll be fine. Okay. So watch this, share this with your friends who are stuck at claiming the airdrop and all these kind of things. But yeah, I think before we get into all these juicy things, Ricardo, maybe you can share a little bit of context. I think at the Cosmoverse conference, you did it the opposite. You first talked about everything, and then the last slide was like, oh, by the way, I'm Ricardo. This is who I am. But today we do it the other way. So it would be nice to get a little bit of a background on yourself, how you joined Desmos, and also, I don't know, are you part of the Frobel team, and how are the ties between Frobel and Desmos? Maybe we can start there.
Yeah, sure. So I actually joined Desmos back in 2019, at the end of 2019. Right after Desmos was announced during the hackathon in Seoul. It was brought there as a project by the Frobel team. So I was already in the Cosmos ecosystem for 1 year because I joined in 2018. And with another company. Then I met them at the Osaka DevCon 5 in Japan in 2019, and I decided to join them there. They had this idea of decentralizing social networks in this kind of way. So I met them, I got to talk with them, and I joined the company when the company was only made of 4 people. So I was the 4th to join. And since there, Frobel has expanded and we're now pretty much 25, 27 people, I guess. And the relationship between Frobel itself and Desmos is that, Frobel is the main contributor of Desmos, just like initially Tendermint was the main contributor of the Cosmos SDK and the Cosmos network. But our idea is in the future to make Desmos live by itself without the strict need of Frobel. So we aim at getting on board new contributors, new developers to work with us to create this new vision of decentralized social networks.
And Frobel is also one of the leading infrastructure projects in Cosmos, right? I think you guys are also running multiple nodes since earlier days. And also you guys are the creators of Big Dipper, right? Which is this explorer.
Yeah, exactly.
Is
Like
that
Forbol was born as like the validator company, and it joined the first network it joined was the Cosmos Hub during the Genesis. So it's one of the first contributors of the Cosmos like security, and they also got a grant from ICF in order to build Big Dipper, which is now the most used open source explorer for the Cosmos ecosystem. And right now, Forbol has like the validator part where we validate over 20 chains. Then we also contribute and build Big Dipper, which we just released Big Dipper 2.0 for the interchain. And we are also now inside Desmos as the core contributor of Desmos as well.
Yeah, that's cool. And I think Big Dipper is a really cool product that helps a lot of people to navigate through different chains and different on-chain metrics and statistics. So that's really cool. And then you said, so Desmos came kind of like out of that team, but in the future you want to have your separate team. So how are you currently structured? Do you have a dedicated team, or are you collaborating with other dev teams to build Desmos? How is currently the structure around the Desmos team?
Currently, Desmos has its own team of people, which are made of like 3 developers, me, another 2 people, which are the core contributor of the code. Yeah, and then we have people dedicated to the marketing, the communication, and even 1 developer dedicated to the DPM application, which was the one that created a lot of rumor when we announced the airdrop. So yeah, we have a team dedicated entirely to Desmos and the product that revolves around it. And then we have other teams, one dedicated to Big Dipper and another one dedicated to the validator things.
I see. Yeah, that makes sense. And so you said you were in Cosmos since the genesis of the Cosmos Hub, I guess.
Yeah.
So what's kind of like the relation with Cosmos technology? Were there founders of Forbol? Were they like just early interested in Cosmos, or what's the story? Why did they get hooked? And you also to say, hey, Cosmos is actually pretty cool. The IBC multi-chain vision is pretty cool, because I guess in 2019 that was very exotic, right? Back then nothing was live. We didn't have Atom. There was no IBC. It was still years away. So how was the sentiment back then, and what got you guys hooked to like bet on Cosmos technology in the first place?
I think that at that time, the Cosmos technology was actually the most advanced technology that allowed you to create your own chain, because the other one was Polkadot, but Polkadot at that time did not allow you to actually create your own chain. The only one that allows you to do that was the Cosmos SDK, which was far more advanced than Polkadot. So I think that was the main reason it got all of us into that technology. Personally, I was actually searching for a technology to build our own chain for another company I was working then back at the time. So yeah, the decision was either go for Cosmos, go for Polkadot, but at the time Cosmos was more advanced, so we got into that. And then immediately when I got into the Cosmos and I joined the public group of the Cosmos, which at that time was around, I think, 1,000 people. I don't know how many there are right now. I would guess a couple of thousand, like tens of thousands. Maybe we even got 100,000. I don't know. But yeah, at that time it was very, very small, and I got immediately a good vibe from the community, because some of them messaged me and said, "Oh, we see you are working to develop something on Cosmos. Let us help you out. So if you have any questions, feel free to message us." And the community was very, very tight because it was not that large. So I think that feeling of a tight community was the thing that really got us stick to Cosmos.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I think it's also the vision for everybody that is also new. I think there's been a lot of like interest from, other big YouTubers, content creators, also in crypto Twitter, that are now slowly discovering Cosmos as kind of like a better Polkadot in many ways, right? You said even now the first parachain on Polkadot was just went live. I think they just won the first auction, Akala, Moonbeam, and then there's a couple of others now that are slowly coming to life, but they still don't even have a fully functioning DEX ecosystem or AMM, right? And on the Cosmos, we have Osmosis, we have IBC that has now 26, 27 chains that are live. Lots of use cases and things that are coming up. And I think I want everybody to really understand the vision of Cosmos is to have an application-specific ecosystem of sovereign blockchains. And I think almost nobody else is working on this. And I think it's also one of the hardest missions to achieve. But I feel right now we're at the point where we see real traction, right? We see real liquidity, real products coming to life. And one of them is the Desmos network, right? So from my understanding, what you guys try to become is this kind of like sovereign social hub on Cosmos, right? And
that's slogan, exactly.
The slogan is also, what is it? Destroy modern slavery. Yeah, so maybe you can first start off explaining what this means, the vision, and how kind of like this idea turned into a real project then in the first place.
So the idea came from Terence and Quan, which are also the co-founder of Forble. They used to work in a creative company that allowed people to advertise their products on social networks by using the social networks algorithms. So they know exactly how social networks track your data to make sure that you only see what you're interested in and you do not see what companies do not want you to see. So from this experience, they knew and they got to know that what social networks actually do right now is they treat their users as slaves, pretty much. They get free work from them, which is actually not physical works, but it's their their personal data. So when you use Facebook, you use it for free, but there is a way of saying that if you're not paying for something, it's because you are the product. And that's exactly it for Facebook. Like, you are the product they're selling. They're selling your personal data. And this is interesting because most of the people do not think that when they give up their personal data, there is a dark side of giving that up, which is like, if you talk to people, what they say when you talk to them about giving up your personal data is that, oh, well, but I don't mind seeing these things because I'm interested in. But the dark side is not about seeing things you're interested in, but not seeing things that you might be interested in. So, for example, in the US in 2019, there was a scandal because big companies were actually using social networks to avoid advertising job positions to specific people. So maybe if you were not a white person, or you were not of a specific sexual orientation or a specific gender identity, you would not see that job post because companies didn't want you there to work there. And that this is the thing that I think most of the people will realize in the next years. So what we're trying to do with with Desmos is we're trying to actually make it possible for users to use social networks without giving up their personal data. And this is possible because if we think back in time before Facebook, no social network was actually requiring your personal data. We had MySpace, we had all other kind of social networks, and they were not requiring your name or your surname. They were just requiring you a nickname, because it's possible to advertise you things you might be interested in without having your personal data, but it's not possible to exclude you from seeing things based on your personal data if you do not have your personal data. So this is exactly why we're trying to aim at building inside Desmos, which is a hub of social networks, all of them connected with Desmos, which is going to be exactly the hub. And all of them will not require you any personal data to join. You will be able to do all the things you do on common social networks, but without giving up your privacy.
Yeah, it's actually true. When I think back 10 years ago, when people started to really use Facebook and all these things, it was so easy to just create 100 profiles, and you could just set up an email like this in an instant. And if you want to do it now, it's so hard. They ask you so many questions and backups and passwords and phrases and birth date and birth name of your parents and whatever, like all these kind of information and data. And if you already have an account with those information, it will tell you that, oh, this account already exists, right? We're already in the database. So I think it's really Yeah, and we've all seen the trials that Mark Zuckerberg was on, right, for multiple times.
Yeah.
And also the regulators are seeing that, oh, wait, these companies are actually collecting all this data and monetizing it from the back door, basically, right? I think that's also a dangerous play. So, but help me to understand the architecture of Desmos, because as a chain on Cosmos, you're basically a layer one, right, in crypto terms. But are you also trying to build, because you said, that's how the Desmos platform is going to look like, and we can also talk about the DTEX in a second and the profiles. But are you also building the actual social media platform, and how is it going to be like? Is it more like Facebook, where you can make posts and pictures and videos? Is it more like Instagram? Is it more like WhatsApp? Walk me through like what's the current stage and what's the actual vision in terms of which platform design you're building.
So actually, as we're building a protocol to build social networks, what we try to do is we try to build the fundamental blocks of building other social networks. So our modules, like as you know, inside Cosmos, every chain has its own custom modules. So for example, Osmosis has the AMM module, the Cosmos Hub has the staking, the other modules. And our custom modules will allow you to create, like, to represent everything that is used inside any kind of social network. So if you think about any social network, the common things that are inside them are actually posts, comments, profiles. You can report other posts, and that's pretty much it. Like when you have these 4 fundamental blocks, you are able to create any kind of social network, which is either something async, like for example Facebook, where you post something and then after some time other user comments on it, or it's either sync with, for example, web chats like WhatsApp. Every message inside WhatsApp, you can view it as a post, right? So we're trying to build those fundamental blocks and then allow other projects to build their own social networks on top of Desmos by creating various smart contracts that allow them to implement different tokenomics. So for example, you will be able to create your own smart contract, build your own subspace inside Desmos, which is your own private space that you decide to manage however you want with all the rules you want. And then each time someone posts inside that subspace, you require them to pay a fee of your own token that you can emit using smart contracts. And then you reward users as soon as maybe their post reaches a certain number of likes or some other user performs some other kind of interaction with their posts. So it's all in your hand deciding how your social network will work, but the whole data will stay on the Desmos chain, which is pretty much the profile, which will be used across all social networks. So you will be required to register only once. And then all the posts, the comments, the reactions, and the reports to other posts will live inside the Desmos blockchain. So that will be the base platform.
Interesting. Yeah. And everybody who's also listening right now, we got 40 people here. You can drop your questions in the comments already. I will pick some questions later. I see already some questions about the price discovery, about the coin, about whether everyone bought the dip, all those kind of things. So drop any question that you have for Ricardo as we have his time today in the comments. I'll get back to this later. But so then, okay, so you just explained the architecture, and I think this makes a lot of sense that through these smart contracts, you can build your own kind of like whatever applications in the social network or social networks, social spaces you want to build. So what is the current stage? Because now the token was announced. Obviously, everyone is like, okay, what can I actually do with it? What can I actually do with Desmos, right? We created all those DTEX to claim the airdrop. So walk us through what is the current stage? What can users that have no clue what Desmos is, what can they do on the platform as of today?
So as of today, you can create your own profile, and you can, which is going to be your decentralized identity inside the Desmos ecosystem, and you are able to connect it to other blockchains and to other also centralized applications. So for example, to your Twitter account or to your GitHub account or Reddit account. And all of this will allow you to actually create your identity, which is anonymous and at the same time is verified. So for example, if you are Crypto0 and you want to create your identity on Desmos, you are able to verify that it's you by connecting it to your Twitter account in a completely decentralized way. So you will be anonymous on both Desmos and Twitter. No one will know and will get your personal data, but you will be verified inside Desmos as well. And right now you are able to connect it, as I said, to different chains as well. And why we are doing this? Because we hope that in the future, we will have systems that allow you to send IBC-enabled tokens using your Desmos data. So right now inside Kepler, if you want to send me some Kava or to send me maybe some Osmosis or some Atom, you need to have my different addresses, right? But as Desmos is able to connect to those chains, in the future, you will be able to send me some tokens, like any tokens, using my DTAG, because via the DTAG, you will be able to get those addresses, and so you will be able to send them. And since you also are able to connect your profile to centralized application, in the next months, we are going, if we are able to implement a sort of tip bot that allow you to tip other users on centralized platforms using your Desmos profile. So for example, I can tip you, Crypto0, on Twitter using my Desmos amount, and those will be sent to your Desmos address because you have connected your Desmos address to your Twitter account, and it's able to solve the link. I can also try and tip anyone, and as soon as they connect their Desmos profile, they create their Desmos profile and they connect it to their Twitter account, they will get the tokens. So this is what we're trying to get in the next months.
So is it comparable to, okay, so if we think back about social networks that existed in crypto, the first one that comes to my mind is Steemit, right? Steem,
yeah.
Right? So Steem was one of the biggest platforms that gained a lot of traction, but then I think they just dried out because of bad tokenomics. I think then the US guys got involved and Justin Sun got involved, and then people were like, I don't I don't want to use it anymore. But then what you're describing now sounds also a little bit like ENS, right? Ethereum name service, where you have this platform where you have unique identifiers, unique domains basically that reside on the blockchain. So is Desmos kind of like a mix of both, or how would you compare it to other social networks that we've seen? Another one I think is the one from Ethereum that also Vitalik is using. I don't remember the name. It's called, what is it called? Something with S. I forgot the name. But there's a couple of social networks and messaging platforms. Maybe if you can just compare it to some of the existing ones that we know already, and how Desmos is kind of like different to the ones that are out there right now.
I think it's hard to compare it to the projects you mentioned or any other project, because most of the projects that are building inside the social network space are actually building a single blockchain for a single social networks. So for example, Steemit has their own blockchain and was a single social network, right? But Desmos, it's actually building a single blockchain for multiple social networks. So I think that ENS, it's somewhat similar to what we're trying to build, but we're trying to build not only the single namespace for different accounts, but also a single account for multiple social networks. So I think one of the things that might be similar to this would be the Google login feature or the Facebook login feature, where when you have registered once time inside Google, you will be able to use that profile to log into any platform that integrates that feature. And I think Desmos will be very similar to this kind of thing, but all based on the blockchain. And also will allow you to, like anyone, to create their own social network. So actually, I don't have anything to compare it with, because as far as I know, there is no one building such tool right now.
Yeah, the project I was just looking for is status, and I think it's more of a kind of like signal thing that is residing on top of Ethereum. But I think one of the other key benefits that you have in Desmos that you don't have elsewhere is the interoperable nature, right? So talk a little bit about kind of like all these core pieces in Cosmos that you guys are implementing. I guess IBCs being implemented. Are you using any sort of like EVM compatibility or other bridges to other ecosystems? So yeah, maybe we can talk about this a little bit.
I think that the main thing that we will be using from now in the next years will be definitely IBC, and particularly when talking with the BAN chain, because BAN, as you know, allows you to create oracles that can talk with the internet. Like blockchains usually cannot access the internet because all those operations would not be deterministic and so cannot be stored inside the blockchain. But BAN is pretty much like Chainlink, so but for the Cosmos ecosystem, so allows you to write oracles that can fetch data from the internet. And we actually use IBC and have been probably one of the earliest projects to use IBC to do something different from token transfers, because we request data from the BAN chain using IBC. So we perform IBC transactions to request the verification data that you post on Twitter to connect your account, your Twitter account, to your Desmos profile. And we will also use IBC because we think that being able to transfer your tokens across the whole ecosystem using a single DTAG also implies that you are able, like your chain is also connected to the others. But we do not foresee the usage of, for example, EVM compatibility right now. We might explore that later, but right now we don't, because we think that Cosmoism, which is not EVM compatible, is sufficient enough to support all the use cases that we have in mind right now for smart contracts. But in the future, we do not exclude any other integration with other Cosmos technology.
Awesome. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the DSM coin. And before we get into the airdrop, maybe you can share some insights about tokenomics, kind of like utility, circulating demand, and all this kind of like use cases of the DSM coin. And also, why is it called DSM and not DMS? I think somebody asked that also in the on Twitter.
Yeah. Well, it's called DSM simply because we did not think about DMS first. So we just went to register the Desmos coin, and then it was already taken by another project. So we just got up registering DSM. And yeah, there was no other projects using that acronym, so we used that. But DMS would be a lot better, I agree with. But the whole tokenomics around DSM will revolve around the fact that Desmos will be a hub. So many different social networks will be built on top of it. And all of these social networks will have their own tokens. Like, for example, you can see Facebook building on top of Desmos and have its own FB token, Twitter building on top of Desmos having its own TW token or whatever. And all of these tokens will be tradable and exchangeable inside Desmos itself. So we will have a way for you, if you are a common, for example, Instagram user, and you get a lot of reaction inside Instagram, you will be able to convert your Instagram tokens into Facebook tokens and spend them maybe to do some advertisement inside Facebook or to post things inside Twitter or any other social network. So the DSM token will be the token that allows us to guarantee the security of the whole hub. Like, for example, it is right now the add-on with the Cosmos hub, and at the same time will be used as the common token between all these different social tokens that will be based on different tokenomics.
Okay, yeah, I think that's mostly the case in all these Cosmos chains. I think that's also one of the core strengths, is that you have your own chain and you have to build up your own security and your own validator set, right? So what's the current stage? I haven't even looked into this in terms of validators, in terms of like the underlying security. You just launched a coin. So what was the kind of like process since you guys launched over the past 1-2 weeks? And where do you guys currently stand? And are you happy with the launch? And yeah, maybe you can share some thoughts about that.
Well, actually, we're very happy because even before launching, we had an incentivized testnet that ran for 1 year. And during this 1 year testnet, we even got to a point where we had more than 300 validators inside the testnet. Some of them actually were there, obviously, just for the incentives. But some of them were very, very helpful, both during the testnet and both after we launched the mainnet. And since we launched, we never got under, I guess, 60 validators. So we even launched our mainnet with 60 validators from the beginning. And the launch was actually very crazy. because we had these 60 validators with pretty much all of them equal voting power. So some of them were not online during the Genesis time, and we had to coordinate a quick new Genesis file with all the community, and it was very, very interesting to see the community so tight that we even had a validator that messaged us after the mainnet was online, then that said to us, I was driving my car and I was listening to the live because we were live streaming the mainnet launch. And during while I was listening to the live, I heard you that we had some problems. So what I did was I pulled over my car, I took up my laptop, and I helped you guys submitting the new Genesis that allowed us to start the mainnet. So the community was very, very tight, and it continues to be very, very tight. Our validators are proving to be amazing. We had our last on-chain upgrade that we did a couple of days ago actually took less than 10 seconds. So we even skipped any single block because all of them were ready. They were inside there. They were ready to fix any problems that anyone would have had. And right now we are sitting on, I think, 94 to 95 active validators. So we're almost reaching our limits of 100 initial validators. We will probably increase it in the future because we do not think that having only 100 validators has any benefit. We want to be able to onboard as many validators as possible. And most importantly, we want to onboard new validators. We had a lot of people that are actually at their first experience in validating proof of stake blockchain, and they chose DSM and Desmos because the community of validators is so strong that allows you to get on board even if you have no experience whatsoever. So right now, what we saw in the last weeks was that since we started the airdrop, a lot of users are claiming the airdrop. Some of them are actually using the claim to start their own validator, and most of them are staking. So we had the staking ratio that went up from 60% to 64% with those 4% that is actually only the airdrop that we sent out. So 90% of the people that get the airdrop are actually actively staking to secure the chain.
So the airdrop, you already mentioned it. I think was it the first time actually you announced it at Cosmoverse?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. So you announced it at Cosmoverse. That was pretty cool. And by the way, I also encourage everybody to watch your presentation. Let me actually quickly share my screen for that to make sure I can show everybody. Do you see the screen with your presentation, right? Yeah. So go over you can watch it on my channel. You can also watch it on the DeFi Times channel. But on this conference, it was on November 5th, just a bit over a month ago, a month and 3 days. You announced that there's an airdrop coming. You talked also a little bit about the core problem of kind of like this centralized social networks there. And since then, this article came up 3 days later, which basically explains allocations and criteria for the DSM airdrop. And it was actually not just for Atom holders or stakers, it was actually for a lot more, right? Osmo holders, Osmo LPs, Akash, Ben Protocol, Crypto.com, Juno, Kava, Luna, a lot of interchain participants. So maybe first you can share some thoughts around the design of and the purpose of handing out an airdrop for Cosmos people, basically. And then also in the first place, because when this was announced and the claiming portal went live, at least the first ones, a lot of people texted me immediately and they're like, oh my God, they're asking for the private key. They're asking for the seed phrase. This is crazy. Can this be real? And first I was like, no, this can't be real. I don't believe that. So talk through about first the purpose of the airdrop, and then second, the kind of like shaky start that you had in the very beginning.
Yeah. So actually, as you can see, we targeted 11 chains of the ecosystem, and most of them are actually chains that Forbol is actively validating. And some of them are picked because of their communities. So for example, we do not validate on Juno, but we pick them because we think the community is very, very strong. They already know how to claim airdrops. They know how to provide liquidities, etc., etc. So the decision around those chains was to connect as many chains as possible, because Desmos is by itself a interconnected project. As I said before, we aim at getting everyone a decentralized identity, not only inside social networks that will be built around Desmos, but also through the entire ecosystem of the Cosmos. So we want to be able to have a single D tag and link all your profiles there, all your accounts there. So we wanted to target as many chains as possible and as many users as possible, because we believe that every one of us should be able to get their DSM, because the social network problem is something that affects all of us. If you look at my presentation, I say that by the end of 2025, the percentage of the number of users that use social networks every day is projected to increase and almost double. So this is a very serious problem that people have with their personal data, and this is why we wanted to give it to as many people as possible. At the same time, we also did try to design an airdrop that was fair to everyone and excluded those people that, in our opinion, were trying to get more tokens or more advantages than contributing to the security of those chains. So if you see those four dots that you have highlighted right now, we did not completely exclude, but we penalized those people. We incentivized those people and we penalized the opposite of those people, right? So if you staked more, like the majority of your tokens with non-zero commission validators, you would get more tokens. If you staked with us, of course, you would get more tokens. If you did not stake with centralized exchanges, you would get more tokens. If you did not stake with foundation operated validators, for example, this was a problem inside the Kronos chain. Like most of the users inside the crypto.org chain are using their DeFi wallet, and the DeFi wallet allows you to stake only to the foundation delegators. Foundation validator. So we didn't want to exclude all those people, but we think that by somewhat incentivizing the other ones, we would let those users know that there are better ways to contribute to the security of those chains. So if you delegate your tokens to an exchange validator, you are not contributing to the security of those chains, because the exchange validators will not, like most of them are not actually active inside the governance of those chains. So we just designed the airdrop to target as many chains as possible, to target as many users as possible, and also incentivize those people that, in our beliefs, were contributing more to the security of those chains.
Yeah, and I get this question a lot. That's why thanks for explaining all this and going into detail here. For example, I think SG1 is a great node, is a great validator. They do a lot in the ecosystem, right? But I think they had their commission at 0 for quite a long time. And that's why, based on these parameters, on this mechanism, you would get less if you delegated your nodes to them. I think the background could potentially be that, running a validator actually means you have running costs. So there should be at least some sort of like revenue to cover for the cost, and also you have potentially people to pay, right? It's kind of like you like more work behind the scenes than just clicking one button and say, okay, I'm printing the money now. So I think that's one thing. And also, this is really, really important for everybody to understand. I just made a tweet yesterday that finally Binance is out of is gone from the first place in the Cosmos Hub as a validator. I think they had 7% of voting power there, but it didn't do anything in 2 years or something. And I think delegating to nodes where you know who is behind it, where hey, they actually care about the ecosystem, they care about Cosmos, they're even building products, right? And you guys have built a lot of products, right? We talked about it earlier, Big Dipper, now Desmos is coming up. And a lot of things that you guys are contributing, listening to the community, providing value. And I think delegating to those guys that actually build things makes so much more sense, right? Excluding centralized exchanges, right? Which are kind of like the enemies in this decentralized world that we're trying to get to, even though they're needed. So I think, there's still some like hybrid solutions in between. But yeah, anyway, everyone who is asking why did I not get a large airdrop, and why was I penalized, maybe this article can help on the medium side of Desmos. I'll also probably actually let me share this right now in the stream so people can read that. Yeah, I think that's really important to understand how you should participate in these ecosystems, because an airdrop is not just to get people rich and get free money. It's actually to generate users from the project side, and also to make sure that the network is secure. But so one thing that a lot of people called you out immediately is that there was on the first portal you had to insert your seed phrase, right? So can you talk about why that was the first kind of like design that you had for claiming the airdrop, and yeah, why was that the case, and what changed since then?
Yeah, sure. So I think we need to understand one thing before diving into why we decided to do things this way. It's that an airdrop designed to target as many chains as possible has a lot of complications. Like when you decide to target, for example, something like Kava or the Cosmos Hub or Craw or any other chain that has a custom derivation path that is different from the Cosmos Hub, you need to do things differently. Like the Juno airdrop was very easy to do because all they had to do, they had to parse all the different Cosmos addresses, and they simply had to change the prefix of those addresses. So if you compare your Juno address and your Cosmos address, they are pretty much the exact same, except for the prefix, which on Juno it's Juno, and on Cosmos it's Cosmos, and the last thing, which is the checksum. But the middle part is the exact same between the two different addresses because they are derived from the same private key. And this is not possible to do for chains with, for example, Terra or Crow, because they use different derivation paths. And from the same mnemonic, there is not only a single private key which generates two different addresses, but there are two different private keys which generate two different addresses. So if you use the same mnemonic inside Terra and inside Cosmos, you will see that those addresses are completely different, not only by the prefix, but also by the middle thing, which means that they are attached to two different private keys. So in an airdrop like Desmos, what we could have done is we could have generated all the different Desmos addresses and airdrop the tokens to them. But what this would have meant to users is that if you had an account on Terra, another one on crypto.org, another one on Cosmos Hub, and another one maybe on Kava, you would have 4 different Desmos wallets that you had to manage. And that would be extremely difficult to do and extremely painful in the long term. So what we decided to do is we decided to leverage the first feature of Desmos network, which is actually the profile, to allow users to understand how things will work in the future by requiring them to create a Desmos profile, connect all their different eligible addresses, and then being able to get the allocated DSM for those addresses. So you would have only to manage a single Desmos profile instead of multiple ones, and get all your addresses, all your DSM into a single wallet. So this is the main reason why we require users to connect their chains to the Desmos profile, because it's easier for them later on to manage their things. And some people have actually asked us, but why do I need to give everyone my addresses? Well, actually, no one is getting anything out from you, because even if you create your Desmos profile and connect all your chain accounts to that, you are not giving out any information. Like, you can create your Desmos profile completely anonymously, and no one will know that that is you. You only know that those addresses are connected together, but you do not know anything else. So as long as you are private in all of those chains, you are private also in Desmos. And this would be the exact same thing for if we, like, for example, the Juno. Like inside Juno, if I know your Cosmos address, I can easily derive your Juno address. I know how many Junos you have. But going straight to the point of why did we ask initially the seed phrase was simply by a bad decision that I and the rest of the team also made, but I take full responsibility of it. And it was made, like, it was due to the fact that we wanted to push out the ability for users to claim their airdrop as easily as possible. And we think that due to this large user amount that we targeted for the airdrop, the easier way was to get out and release an application, a mobile app that allows you to claim your allocation. And it's pretty common that inside non-custodial wallets, you are required to put your mnemonic phrase, right? So many people did not see any problem when they were required to create a new mnemonic phrase and later confirm it inside the DSM application. But due to the fact that we had poor communication of how the whole airdrop was thought and why they would have to link other addresses, I think most of the people got scared when they were required to put their Cosmos mnemonic phrase, not knowing what it would happen inside that application. So I think that if we actually made it cleaner, and we also released at the same time other ways, so for example, using the ledger like we later did, or using Kepler like we later did, it would have been a lot better taken from the users. But yeah, it was pretty much a thing of poor communication, and we've actually seen a lot of users that after rightfully complaining about this thing, because we weren't enough clear about our intentions. When we released ForbleX that allows you to claim your airdrop using the ledger, and when we released actually one of our community members released GoFindMe, which allows you to use Kepler to claim your airdrop, most users then change their mind and say, okay, this is fine, like we're going to claim it right now. But yeah, we're actually we learned a lot from this because we're actually right now trying to improve as much as we can the whole procedure, because we know it's a lot more complex than other airdrops, but it's because the entire airdrop is designed a lot differently from the airdrops that most Cosmos people are used to. Like here, you are required to do things because you are required to link different accounts together, which is not usually requested by other airdrops. So yeah, as I said, we also learned a lot. We took all the users' feedback, even if harsh sometimes, but we understood pretty well why it was the case, and we are now trying to improve, trying to add the support for LedgerX inside the mobile application. We released ForbleX, which allow you to use Ledger. We supported GoFindMe, which allows you to use Kepler, and we actually today we released the ability to use Kepler while claiming your airdrop inside ForbleX as well. So we're trying to get a single platform or different platforms to claim your airdrop as easily as you can without giving out any seed phrase.
Yeah, and I think the cosmonauts will forgive you guys for that. We got more than 50 people watching right now here. Also, Coney Daddy is in the house, the legend himself. So what is currently, you already mentioned a couple of options. Personally, I claimed my airdrop. I didn't even spend a lot of time because I was traveling and was not really at my computer 24/7 with the first version that you had to input your seed phrase. But I did it with GoFindMe, and it was pretty easy and pretty fast. Like you said, you listen to the community, you execute it immediately. I guess there was a couple of sleepless nights in between, especially for you. So what is currently the best way for Kepler users? It's GoFindMe. What is the best way for Ledger users, and what is the best way for those that use Kepler in connection to Ledger?
Actually, we do not support Kepler in connection. So let me answer your questions one by one. What is your best way if you're using Kepler? I think GoFindMe right now is the best way. But you are actually allowed right now to use Kepler inside ForbleX as well. So if you want to have a new mnemonic phrase just for Desmos, what you can do is you can register your account using Forbolex, and then from there connecting your different accounts, either using the ledger or Kepler inside Forbolex itself. If you want to have the same mnemonic for Desmos and Cosmos Hub and other platforms, you can use Kepler. And if that's the case, you want to go to GoFindMe. If you want to use the ledger, you can use Forbolex. If you have Kepler and the ledger, I would suggest you to just drop Kepler and use only the ledger to claim everything. And that is fully doable inside Forbolex. If you have any problems with any of these platforms, I would recommend coming to joining our Discord community at discord.desmos.network. And there we will be able to help you out with any kind of problem that you might have on any of these platforms.
So just to make it clear, right now, there's not a single option that requires you to insert the seed phrase, right?
Actually, all of these platforms allow you to do that, but you are not forced to do it. Like you can do it if you want, but you are suggested for security reasons to do it in other ways, either using Kepler or the ledger.
Okay, because I get a lot of questions today, when we announced this live stream, and also right now I see in the chat some people are, saying like, oh, I gave my seed phrase. And I'm sure there's a lot of like scams out there that now take advantage of this confusion. So if it's not if you want to claim your Desmos airdrop, you will not be required to insert your seed phrase. It will just be optional. But I don't recommend to do it ever, anywhere. Even if you claim free money, right? You should never do that. But just to make it clear for everybody who's listening right now, or maybe doesn't have a lot of experience in crypto, there's a lot of traps out there and a lot of like fake sites and those kind of things.
I would just add one thing, like if you want to claim your airdrop, you are not required on any platform. You are not forced to use your mnemonic phrase if you're doing this from the web. Like if you 100% do not want to give out any kind of mnemonic phrase, claim your airdrop either using GoFindMe and Kepler, or using Forbolex and the ledger, or Kepler. So those two platforms. But if you want to claim your airdrop from a mobile application, right now, DPM does not support the ledger as of right now. We are working on it. We plan to release it in the next week. So hopefully in a couple of weeks, there will be no way that you are forced to use your mnemonic phrase. But right now, just claim it either using GoFindMe or Forbolex, and you are 100% safe.
Awesome. Okay, so before we get into some questions here, because we're almost at 1 hour already, talk a little bit about the tokenomics in terms of numbers, and also a little bit of a timeline here. I think the total supply of DSM is 100 million coins, if I'm not mistaken, and also talk about the potential upcoming liquidity pools. I don't know if there's anything coming on Osmosis or any of these kind of like listings, and that people can see, oh my God, I got this and this amount that is worth this and this much. So I think everyone is really excited to hear what's the next steps here.
Yes. So actually the maximum amount of DSM is not 100 million. It will be 500 millions, but it will be distributed in a time span of 12 years. So we are aiming and have the 100 million was the initial Genesis supply of DSM. And we're aiming at having a high inflation ratio in the first years, which will span from 40% minimum to 80% maximum, based on the percentage of tokens that are staked. And then those inflation will go down over time and reach ideally 0 in year 12, so that we aim at having at most 500 million DSM in 12 years. So that's the main tokenomics thing. About the Osmosis liquidity pools, we aim at listing on Osmosis in January. And those that liquidity pool that will be initially created to list on Osmosis can be participated by anyone who has the airdrop and we'll have the associated token, which will be either Atom or Osmo or UST or whatever other token we decide to do the initial pool with. So the listing is going to happen, like our target is going to be January. We hope to make it. If not, we will like announce it anyway in the upcoming weeks when we have further details. But yeah, our target is January.
I have this bet with Sunny that if he doesn't deliver superfluid staking before February, he has to shave his head.
Oh wow! Okay.
So what do you say?
Yeah, that's going to be a hard bet for him, I would say.
No, I mean for you guys, because you said January for the listing. So would you take that bet to, like, by January you get on osmosis, otherwise you shave your head?
Oh my god! I wouldn't take it. I wouldn't take it just only because I care too much about my hair.
All right.
I would take it if it was someone other hair.
Well, you can think about it, or maybe think about someone else in the team, and then we can make this bet just to get it spiced up. But
I guess when we are going to announce it, we will make the bet, I think. Well, just give us some other days to make sure it's doable, at least.
Okay, all right. So we can figure this out, maybe late February or March or something like that, to make it a bit more, to give you guys a bit more time. But anyways, I think we're still good in time also for this last section here. Some community questions I think we can throw up if you're ready. Otherwise, if you have anything else that you want to talk about before we get into questions?
No, I think we can get the questions.
Okay. So yeah, first off, Flat Smack, a first comment here. If everyone bought the dip, if not, then what do you buy? Atom to the moon, let's go. So that's a good start to get everyone hyped about Cosmos. Luca is in the house. Hello. Let's see. Oh, okay. This is a good one. I think I get this a lot as well. So you claim the airdrop. Now it's in your Kepler wallet. How can you stake it?
So right now, unfortunately, we do not support staking with Kepler yet. We are talking with the community member, which is Luca, that's developing GoFindMe, to see if there is any way that he can allow users to stake with GoFindMe. Or I'm actually also thinking about releasing a new platform that allows you to log in with Kepler and stake with it. But as of right now, the only way that you have to stake with your Kepler wallet is to actually use the same mnemonic phrase that you use with Kepler inside the ForbleX extension, which is pretty much the same as Kepler, but allows you to stake using the ForbleX platform. If you're using Kepler with the ledger, you can simply plug your ledger inside ForbleX, download the DSM application, and just stake from it. But right now, if you do not want to use any other platform except from Kepler Wallet, there is no way to stake. We are working on that, but as of right now, there is no way.
Okay. Next question. When price discovery? I guess this comes with the listing. Osmosis in January.
Yeah, will come with the listing in January.
All right. Then Charles has a question. My Desmos wallet says a number of coins were dropped in my formerly empty wallet and available, but there are no coins in it. Is this normal, or is there something wrong with my wallet?
I think there are a lot of different things that might have gone wrong during the claiming procedure. I would suggest you and all of those who have any troubles joining our Discord at discord.desmos.network and ask there. I will personally provide any assistance if needed. I have already messaged some people in DDMs. Like I asked them to message me, and we solved almost all the problems they had.
Yeah, and I think you can also join the Discord channel for support to get more personal questions, maybe individual questions answered, because Twitter is a very noisy space. So maybe do it on Discord. What else do we have? IBC enable. Yeah, so Basil, who is actually sitting next to me, he has a question about advertising. Is there a way where the user gets paid for his information so I can promote my products to them instead of a company like Facebook is getting paid?
Actually, we're trying to implement something like this with the Oracle chain, the Oasis chain. And we think that we might be able to get a system where you decide which data to provide to which advertiser, and you get rewarded based on the data that you provide to them. But this is a further implementation and integration that we aim to have, like, in the next year, in the studying. So it's something that we just have as an idea, and we need to study further if this is actually doable in simplicity, let's say.
Yeah, because I think also a lot of like social platforms are basically marketing platforms, right? After all, like even TikTok. I mean, there's, I think, since a few months only that you can also monetize your accounts on TikTok. Facebook, obviously, Facebook marketplaces and all these kind of things are probably, I think, one of the main revenue drivers for them as well. So yeah, that's interesting. Voluntaris is saying interchain accounts is similar to the idea of one account for sending assets. I was actually thinking the same when you explained it earlier. So does Desmos in any way compare to the idea of having interchain accounts?
Actually, interchain accounts will allow you to perform operations on a chain using an account of another chain. But the idea of decentralized identity will not be provided by interchain accounts. Like, for example, you will be able to stake your osmosis from the Cosmos hub using your Cosmos wallet. You will be able to connect it to your osmosis wallet, and then you will be able to perform operations on that chain. But if you want to have a decentralized identity, you would have to connect your Cosmos account to your Osmosis account, then your Cosmos account to your Desmos account, and your Cosmos account to any other account. And then you would only be able to perform operations on those chains, right? So we will actually use interchain accounts because we want users to be able to create posts inside Desmos using their Cosmos wallet. But it's not something that's really comparable because we want to have this kind of repository where users are able to link everything to a single decentralized anonymous identity, even centralized social networks, and then use that as a reference when they log in into various platforms, or they want maybe a single way of looking at all their data. We can say that Desmos aims to be a sort of, like, the Desmos profile only aims to be a sort of link tree for the whole Cosmos ecosystem, where you have a single link that points to your Desmos profile, and from there you can see all the information about that user that he decides to share with other people.
Yeah, I think the link tree analogy is pretty good and helps people to understand. Soy2 Studio has a couple of questions. I think we talked about the token and its value and use cases already, so maybe rewatch this part where we talk about it. Another one is, do you need to be a developer to use Desmos, or at least wait until someone develops something on Desmos?
Yeah, actually, we target two different people. Like, we target developers that wants to build something on top of Desmos. And for that, yeah, you need to be a developer if you want to create your own social network. But if you are a user and you want to experience something built on top of Desmos, you can already do it with GoFindMe, which allows you to create your profile. And you, of course, will be able to do it better once there are some social networks that are built on top of Desmos. And we are also thinking about creating maybe a first social network that can act as an example for other developers in the next years.
Yeah. And then the last question from Soy2 Studio is about Rose Oasis network. I think you just mentioned them.
Yes.
How does Desmos compare? And I think you actually partnered, right?
Yeah, we're trying to partner and see if we can merge the data integration and the Desmos thing together to make sure that users are able to provide their private data in a complete opaque way, so that advertisers can use those data to market things toward those users, but without actually knowing what data they are getting. So they only know that you can be a target for their platforms while another person cannot, but they do not have direct access to the data you are sharing with them.
All right, Coney, what the fudge is up, everyone? He's also asking if you can claim your airdrop with Ledger Kepler yet. I think we already talked about this extensively. So go and rewatch this part. Or I think in the meantime, your question is answered. Let's see, what else do we have? We talked about the seed phrase thing. We talked about Rose. Oh, I think one question, maybe we can wrap it up with this one, is the Terra station, right? Because I think it's also an airdrop for Luna people. So how can you connect your Terra station to Desmos?
So we are actually trying to work with that and see if we can make it possible for users that use Terra Station to claim their airdrop using Forbolex. But yeah, one thing that I forgot to mention is that even though we had a lot of comments during the initial phase of the airdrop, we learned a lot about how users use their wallets. Like, for example, each user inside a single chain wants to use their wallet differently. Like for Terra, people want to use only Terra Station because they're used to that. On other users might only want to import their wallet using the private key, and some other instead prefer, like for example, using their mnemonics. So from this, we also got a lot of knowledge about the UX that revolves around wallet, and we also trying to combine all of these together. Maybe we will release a blog post so that we can help the whole ecosystem that wants to do an airdrop like ours to make sure they support the correct platforms and they do things correctly, learning from our mistakes. So yeah, answering the question, we're trying to implement Terra Station inside Forbolex. It's not there yet, but we're working on it.
Awesome. Yeah, I think you guys have a lot of lessons learned to share. And final question, I guess that's for me. Can I stake Desmos in Stakecito? I don't know. Soon, maybe. We'll see. We'll probably look into it. Also, from a validator perspective, you guys at Forball, you have this also, right? It's a process to like set up chains and make sure it's secure, make sure everything is working smoothly. So we're looking also to expand Stakecito onto new chains and other networks, but one chain at a time, I would say. So anyways, thank you so much. I think we had almost 50 people throughout the whole stream. So thanks everyone watching. Thank you, Ricardo, for your time and for explaining everything. I think there were a lot of questions answered to the cosmonauts. And follow, so which channels should we show? The Twitter channel, I guess?
Yeah, I think that's the best way to reach us.
Yeah, at Desmos Network, you're still below 10K. I think we need to fix that. So go over and follow them on Twitter. Also follow yourself. What's your Twitter handle?
It's at RAIC.
Montagin. I will share this as well.
It's complex to say Italian names, right?
Montagnin.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
And then let me also share the Desmos. Boom. All right. So yeah, thanks for coming on.
Thank you very much for having me here.
Yeah, we'll keep track of everything, and we'll see you probably in a couple of weeks or months again, and with more updates and things that the community can do.
For sure. Thank you very much.
Take care, man. See you.
See you.
Bye.